Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Resident Evil 4 with the fan-made HD mod. Although, we are now doing the extra content, and so it is possible that either the cutscenes or the textures or anything else that the fan-made HD mod touched in the main game may not have been touched upon in the extra content. I would suspect that's not the case, because I imagine roughly 90% of all the textures in Separate Ways and Assignment Ada were the same textures in the main game anyway, so replacing one would have replaced the other. It probably is the same file. Plus, I don't feel like the fan mod would be at version 1.1 if that wasn't somewhat conforming to the idea that a 1.0 release means that it is completely feature complete and ready for launch and release. So yeah, I suspect we'll see things that look good here. It's basically its own side application. Again, when I played this, I guess I must have played this on the Xbox 360 or the Wii. That would have been the only two systems I would have had at the time. And whenever I played it, it took a lot longer to load in the different sections than that did. That was very instantaneous. From what I heard, and I didn't really check to see if this is true, Separate Ways in a lot of ways was added as a way of differentiating the GameCube version versus the PS2 version.
Is to get closer to my
So it got added to the PS2
no matter
version.
What happens, I can't let anyone figure that out. Of course, hiding in the shadows isn't my style. I'll have to reveal myself to him and offer advice once in a while.
What's funny about this is almost like an alternate reality telling of the experience, and yeah, that definitely looks like HD images, because some of this makes some sense that it could have happened right alongside Leon's story, but some of this also just doesn't make sense. And yeah, this looks alright, but it doesn't look as good. So there might be something slightly different here. The idea that Ada would have been in the village minutes before Leon showed up is just really in line with the kind of ridiculousness that is in the main story as far as the dialogue.
So I see you've managed to arrive at the village on time.
Yes, but nobody
Some of
remembered
this
to roll out my red carpet.
Doesn't look as good as the main game, though. It looks low resolution.
They automatically attack any intruders. Ring the church bell. That should quiet them down for a while.
Sounds like they're good, obedient boys and girls.
Unfortunately, time is not a luxury we have.
So here's
Gather as
Wesker.
much information as you can about the parasites and finish off this little tour.
So yeah. You take notice that Leon's wearing his jacket, and you learn that. And he loses it at some point. And they steal it when he gets knocked out. Interesting. X is all I can do, or press A. So I don't think what happens here is that we go all throughout the map. I think all these other pathways are locked. And so it's mostly just clear out the village, or maybe not even clear out the village, and then get to the church. Where's Leon at this point? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense at all. Does she have a knife? Yes, she does. Am I gonna have enough bullets for as many shots as I'm using here? We can definitely try and use the fan kick. Yeah. If I'm breaking that crate open, then is someone else bringing in a new crate? If I'm taking this chicken egg, is there a chicken egg for Leon? If I'm taking this bullets, who's putting the other bullets? It would almost make more sense if you're going to go down this route to introduce some gameplay mechanic that would lead towards Ada leaving bullets around. Already went in this house. Arguably, this may be the way the whole game is supposed to be played, is that you are supposed to so he's like in the other room. Am I supposed to be doing something to help? Or do I not really care? There was no difficulty setting in this game at this point, so this is just the level of difficulty. They're not doing anything special with the a chicken may very well have left the key that we're looking for. Alright. Let's see. Do we even have a shotgun? Yes, we do. Let's... But yeah, doesn't really feel like it's much of an experience, quite, at this point. I guess at a certain level, this needs to help you. You need some level of help with Leon. And you need some level of help. You're helping Leon get past this whole fight, but also you need to build up your resources. Yeah. And you can definitely tell, just like nearly every single person you're killing is dropping an item. Alright, we are screwed at this point. Because there's... I thought the chainsaw guy was coming towards me, but it seems to me like the chainsaw guy is just hyperfixated on Leon. But there's kind of only a few more places we can go. We'll kill the chicken just to see if maybe the chicken would have dropped an egg in killing it. I don't know if killing the animals actually does reward you. And this creates... like, you can't jump out in any of this, so you jump down and then they immediately grab you. Alright. It's questionable, certainly, whether do the quick turn. It's really questionable whether you're able to get as many bullets as you're wasting doing all of this. And yeah, the fan kick is the thing that's really going to save you in this situation. Arguably, the game might be much more easier balanced. Notice that I probably could have gotten in this room quicker and probably could have gotten in that room quicker and seen the shotgun, but you can't take the shotgun. Let's see. It's just really not worth it to pick up this gold unless this led to a bunch of extra like stuff, and it just doesn't feel like it really is going to lead to a bunch of extra stuff. Go ahead and use that. And see, I just don't know if there really is any value in doing that at all. Like, particularly in this story, I don't know if there's really a value in barricading yourself this way. And there's just no other way around this or out of this. And they can only apparently push instead of pulling. And then when you get to this point, there's your hook shot. And I don't think that there's anything else up here. So you would have need the hook shot. And that gets you to the Los Illuminati signal key, which then lets you unlock this door and leave. And I question heavily whether I could have actually run into the chainsaw guy, or if that is just a sound effect that was playing. That would have been the absolute worst time to potentially die. Like, absolute worst time to potentially die. And that highlights the problem with the snakes in general, is that they are at best a minor inconvenience. At worst, they are going to be a sucker punch in your experience. And then I definitely would question if we're ever going to upgrade anything, or if we are even going to get the other parts of the mask. We probably are going to get the other parts of the mask, but it's kind of hard to believe. There's not much happening here as far as the game, unless the game goes a lot longer. And so this may be very well a case where the separate ways experience is just 2 or 3 hours instead of 21 hours it took me. I'm not open yet. As you can see, I don't have my blue torches set up, but I suppose the customer comes first, sell me some treasure, and buy some weapons.
What are you selling?
Sell 3 spinel.
Is that all? Thank you.
And that's pretty much, I think,
What
all
are
we
you
can do.
buying?
Spend. Well, you buy a TMP here, and it's already at its max firepower, except for the exclusive. You buy the semi-auto rifle, and it would be at its max firepower. So if I had enough money, I would get the semi-auto rifle.
What are you selling?
But I don't
What are
think
you
that's
buying?
going to be the case. Kind of want to get the treasure map. But I kind of want to get this. So can I get both? The treasure map and this? Just barely.
Is that all?
You buy this, you buy the TMP, then all of a sudden you have a much better situation as far as bullets, and arguably now maybe we will get TMP bullets.
Thank you.
And, yeah, we will have to save up for the semi-auto rifle and for the bigger attaché case. Upgrades, I don't know if upgrades happen at all in this game. So whatever you buy may just be the experience.
What are you buying?
As far as like the gun we have
What
now,
are you selling?
Yeah, it's at 2.0 and the shotgun's at 5.0, so they're already kind of big.
Come back anytime.
We'll check the map and see if I missed a treasure. Nope. So paying 10,000 to find potentially 3 treasure pieces that then may sell for like 20 or 30,000 is helpful, but it is probably like a real dumb mistake to do on a second playthrough of this game, or of Separate Ways in particular. Will we have separate save spots? Nope. Which that then creates another problem. Let's just overwrite. I mean, we've got to overwrite something from a different scenario, so just overwrite that. And that's save 1 of mode Ada. Of course, you could just save over and over again in one room, and that would just be to your own small shame. Let's see. And your mileage will be, I guess, very different as far as just remembering whether the same tricks work in Separate Ways or whether different tricks work. Somebody coming up from behind me? Really? It's fairly noticeable that the merchant does have glowing eyes and probably has just like the same face texture of other Ganados. But he's clearly not under control of Salazar Sadler, any of them, which maybe means he might be an original Las Plagas infected, which that would be some interesting backstory if they ever wanted to bring the character back, to say he's like 1,000 years old and can move really fast and was actively working with Leon to take down Sadler because Sadler was misusing the Las Plagas or messing with his own plans. It'd be weird for the merchant to come out and turn into a new bad guy, but not that crazy. Your fan kick can get people on the ground fairly quickly in groups. I think this probably highlights why there's a lot of hallway sections in the original game that they thought better of actually having enemies in it. Because when you are in these narrow hallways, particularly in the first playthrough, you're just not going to have weapons that kill people fast enough. And there's just not a way to get around that. You need major upgrades in your damage. Now, if the goal here were to just ring the bell, I could probably target the bell with my gun and shoot it very quickly. So I assume there's more to it than that. I guess the general idea here also would be that the blue medallions have not been set up yet. Yeah, I'm not seeing those being anywhere. Yeah, it definitely seems like it would have been a mistake to not have gotten the TMP. Unless there was something more to it. There's our red gem. And they're kind of infinitely spawning, so there isn't too much to this encounter. Hi. Interesting. You can shoot it and it just gives you a prompt. So much for ringing the bell that way. Can't get in that way. There's nothing up here as far as another blue thing. So we need to do the same puzzle that we did before. Is this 3 or 4? It's 3. And inside of this, we now have a different we have an insignia that would open the door. Let's see. The bars shut me when I took the insignia. I don't have the thing I need to stick in here. Alright, so we'll have to come back and get that later. It definitely feels like there is a stagger effect that happens with the TMP, and so sustained fire in the TMP I think is the thing that's needed to kill things most efficiently. But that also means potential loss of bullets, waste of bullets. In the game, the game's really not gonna hold your hand here. Got an egg without breaking it, which that's a miracle in itself. So, do we want to use a shotgun here, or even a grenade? Knock them to the ground, and keep them on the ground. This is one of the sisters. And there goes our audio, which makes me think we are probably fairly well suited. 3,000 pesetas, not a big amount in the main game, probably a fairly large amount in the Separate Ways game. And let's just double check. Yes, that door would have been locked, so we're going from dead end. It would almost make sense if this game was a vertical slice, or a reusing of a vertical slice of the game. By that I mean a section designed to show from the simplest gameplay concept to the most complicated ones that they plan to put in the whole product, but without them actually designing the whole product. You don't have to solve the puzzle a second time, thank goodness for that. And that's what Leon finds, and there's the green cat's eye. This obviously came out at least a year after the main game came out, so it would be them effectively reusing content or ideas that that were left on the cutting room floor in favor of different ideas. You have such a high fire rate here, but that doesn't really work because inherently, by having such a high fire rate, you run the risk of running out of bullets. This really gives a good example of what the experience would be like playing the New Game Plus. Like, Purple Gem, about to get killed. Do we have health here that we can eat? Eat a brown. I didn't even realize I had switched to the TMP. I thought I was actually playing with the shotgun there. That's what I was confused as to why the game is taking so long to have the enemies die. Let's see. Is there anything here? Handgun bullets? And that's it. Nothing on the pews or anything else. So just more people upstairs. I guess you're going to be in kind of a weird position too, where either the game itself is going to let's see, like Ashley should be in this room, so Ashley's could have been saved by, is her name Ada? Yeah, I think it's Ada. Not Ava. It might be Ava. Like, at this point, I hear talk of Lady Ada, the owner of Adafruit, a makerspace website that sells little electronic products. I hear that so often that's what I'm thinking of. Could have sworn that there was some gold back behind here, but I guess not. We can ever so softly, if we get close to it, I think here. Yep. We can hear her whimpering / struggling. Maybe she was tied up and then freed herself. And we just have to solve the same puzzle. Although, in this case, it is actually a different puzzle. But I think it's mostly the same concept. It's just a matter of getting it right. Which I think that's it. And see, it's upside down, the symbol's upside down, so everything then turns right side up and has to be solved the other way. That locks that section that was locked for Leon. And now we're seeing gears in the cutscene, and which you didn't see the gears before, but you did see this part of the cutscene in the main game. See, that was 40 minutes taking it slow and easy, and the treasure's really not worth it. Now what changes here is that
where's everyone going? Bingo?
Either in the next chapter or the one after that, a lot of time will have passed, and Ada, I'm gonna stick with Ada. Yeah, Ada, it says there, has to have been doing something else, or she would have had to have been asleep for that 6 hours. 62% hit ratio is not terrible. 79 characters killed completely. Not getting
Here's what I know so far. Osmond Sadler's cult is known as Los Illuminados.
Not getting a score that time either. I swear you get a score
That's all my organization
playing
knows
some
for sure.
main part of this game.
Sadler's occult activities seem worthy of investigation.
These look like they've been
Salazar
remastered.
Family, Castellans for generations possess
Like,
the
this
ability
looks-
to control Las Plagas.
This looks really
The organization's
much better.
hypothesis is that a unique
Of course, it is
frequency
also
of
a
sonic
smaller
wave
video
sensed
frame, so
only by the parasites is used to
lower
control
resolution would help
the
that
same
look good.
principle used in dog whistles. This was inferred through the analysis of a tissue sample.
Now these are
The
videos
tissue contained
and
an
scenes
organ
that happen
presumably
way
used
at
for
the
sensing
end
sound waves.
of
I've
Leon's
seen cult members carrying
story.
ceremonial rods, and I wonder if they emit these sounds. Of course, this is purely theoretical. The organization needs samples of the parasite to confirm or disprove these theories. That is the main objective of my mission, and the only way to prove my loyalty to the organization.
Who is the
The moves
organization?
in this chess game have been played. There's no
Well,
turning back
probably
now.
Wesker. Probably Umbrella. Like, honestly, I think even by Resident Evil 6, Umbrella still is somehow secretly still around or being resurrected. But yeah, a lot of those cutscenes are from very late in the game, and they just didn't care what cutscenes they were going to use. They were just trying to have some video while she does her dialogue. It would have made more sense if this was more of a mission debriefing, and these were her logs from the end of the entire game, and then and that would effectively make these scenes flash forwards to the end of the game. Says the only reason I'm taking this mission is to get closer on my own objective. No matter what happens, I can't let anyone figure this out. Of course, hiding in the shadows isn't my style. I have to reveal myself to him and offer advice once in a while. That's the exact same thing it said at the beginning. And then here's the rest of what she just said. So this is kind of the same dialogue from the beginning and end of chapter 1. And she's using a weird video phone, which would have been future technology at the time, and now just doesn't make sense compared to like an iPhone. Right, and that was report 1.
Here's what I know so far.
Nope, we don't need to do that a second time. So I guess you just hit exit here, save. 1-1 chapter end is probably not that big of a deal to get rid of. Actually, I'm gonna hold on to that. And frankly, there's just not enough reason to not overwrite to save data. For 10,000 gold, it probably would have made sense for them to give you a treasure map for the entire game. Or you could have also given the treasure map by default, and that could have encouraged the small percentage of players who didn't realize that there were treasures to be got in the rest of the game. It just says chapter 2. So there's no telling what you were doing in between ringing the bell and the point when Leon gets
We have an irregularity. The researcher we
to this
planted has been
point.
discovered by the Illuminados.
You must be talking about that vagrant Spaniard. So where is he now?
He's held captive in an abandoned house located northeast of the village. Until he recovers the sample, we can't let him die.
You don't need to remind me.
So Lewis was working
Luis,
for
Sarah. And I thought I was high maintenance.
So Luis was also working for Wesker, which I guess gives him a little bit more characterization, but not much. Alright. So we are starting here in the house. This way would take you this direction. This way takes you back to the village, I think, and then crisscrosses to where the house is? No? Yeah, this is when he's first captured with Leon in the closet. And apparently we're just going through this map several different places because they're actively showing several different things. So weirdly, that means we're going in different directions and we may just come back to this area later. Let's see. Which way would we want to go? if we go this way, that takes us all the way back to the sniper range area. There's gotta be something worth getting there. It's gotta be a treasure or something.
Welcome. Got a
These episodes,
selection of good
I
things.
could
What are you
potentially have
selling?
ended the episode at the end of chapter 2, and there's, I guess, a question on that. So that's not going to get any more valuable. Sell that for 20,000.
Thank you.
We still don't have
What are you
upgrades.
buying? Is that all?
Let's go and just buy that
Thank
again.
you.
So we spent 10,000 to get 20,000 back. That's not a good trade-off. And we're still short on things.
Is that all?
Getting a first aid spray is probably not a terrible thought.
Thank you.
We could sell a little bit and get a bigger attaché
What are you
case.
selling?
Let's see. What would we want to sell? Not the first aid sprays, obviously. Not a flash grenade or incendiary grenade. We could sell TMP ammo, maybe if we got really desperate. Chicken egg. I guess what you sell here is either 2 flash grenades, 1
Is
flash
that all,
grenade is
stranger?
not enough, or 1 incendiary grenade.
Is that all? Thank you. What are you buying? Is that all? Thank you.
And certainly that gives you the feeling
Come
that
back anytime.
the game really isn't so designed to accommodate getting all of the treasures you would like to get. Okay, we do see that there is a treasure here. This way is the way he came, so this is probably the way to go backwards. I guess the question is, would you run into something that possibly would be a boss that Leon fought and thus you would get weak in it? Or would you run into possibly a boss that just didn't exist in the game at all? At the end of the day, I guess it kind of just doesn't matter. Even getting a little bit of bullets is more than worth it. I have to take care of Mr. Cool first, so it seems like we're going to come back and take on this area later. So, yeah, we can get the treasure now, but we have to go save him first, and then what happens is somehow he gets knocked out at that point and then wakes up in this building. So, yeah, that would explain the weird jumping around there. We may even come back and find that the bird I missed with the shot is back. And then I might be able to get yet another crow reward. Or, you know, it may be something as simple as just getting a bead on it up here. Let's stop wasting those bullets. If I do hit this, I have to hit it fairly carefully because it could fall out of the accessible area.
What are you selling?
One
Is that
spinel,
all?
one brass pocket watch.
Thank you. What are you buying?
Probably still doesn't get me close enough to getting the sniper rifle, which I could probably use the sniper rifle. And I guess the idea is that during this whole time, she was just reading books and doing research. This area also feels like it may very well have been a vertical slice area at some point. And I guess this time they decide to put the lady in here in the bathroom, which that makes even less sense. You know, canonically, I guess what this inherently says is that once you get infected with the Lost Plagueis, you have the ability somehow to pee standing up. Or you just no longer see this as a bathroom and are just hanging out there for some other reason. The food is rotten in the village, so it is not the craziest of ideas that it's not the craziest of ideas that they may be attracted to bad smells. And in Leon's story, apparently Salazar and Sadler were having a meeting here with the Baron guy. And you can hear like their voices. I don't think there's any real value in knifing people in the head. It doesn't really do much for the story if Sadler and Salazar were having a meal here and having a meeting, other than establishing that the three of them at one time were all in the same room at the same time. There's that chicken. I might as well use a TMP bullet on it. I doubt the chicken would drop another egg. We never found a golden egg in the main game. The golden egg will fully heal you.
What are you selling?
But it is way more valuable at 3,000 to be sold.
Is that all straight? Thank you.
There's no way to trigger more golden chicken eggs though. So you could see a potential version of this game in which there would have been some kind of trick to some kind of trick towards. See if I can actually throw this far enough to actually hit the guy. Nope. Like, if headshots increased your chances of golden chicken heads, if killing people in a row increased your chances of golden chicken eggs. I may lose some drops there. But we'll take that. And that's just another great example of your TMP being so powerful that obviously you can use it against actual enemies, where in your first playthrough with Leon you may not have the TMP at all, and even if you did have the TMP, certainly would have not had the upgrades unlocked to take out a chainsaw guy. This, of course, has the effect of the game being really easy, but it also has this oddly disbalancing effect of Ada Wong coming off like she should have been the hero of the game, and that she could have just taken out as many, if not way more, zombies. Which maybe to balance that out, you would have had in this section stronger zombies or more zombies. Her ribbon in her hair is flying around, and I thought for a second that there was some like squirrel-like creature or zombie making its way towards me. But yeah, no such twist of occurrence. The game never said that the handgun suffered from any distance reduction, so you really can just be like this very far away and take out people. And there's considerably less dead zone issues in this game, which in this part of the game, which may be a factor of just better auto aim enabled by default, or less programmed random movements of a shot, or just effectively having a steadier hand. But it also could be a dead zone issue that was addressed in separate ways, but then not changed in the main game because they wanted the main game to be playable and feel like the way it played originally. Inherently, you do have a history that you can finally break with the remake of the game. Like, we're not going to be trapped doing the same thing or trying to make the same game like we would have been with every other remake. And by we, I mean Capcom. They can make a completely different game and call it Resident Evil 4, and they've established the precedent where nobody's going to complain about making a completely different game and calling it Resident Evil 4, as long as it feels just a little bit like Resident Evil 4. Alright. The cows moved, and we're just going through the village a second time, taking every opportunity to look for where an item might be. It's weird you have to say yes to picking up bullets. There's really very few scenarios where you would say no. Like, by default, it really should just be press the X button when near something to pick it up, or press the A button. When this was a GameCube game, it would have really just been the A button, because there was really only the A button. A for affirmative, and then a smaller B for cancel. But yeah. press the A button to pick it up, and then if you need to drop it because your inventory is full, go into that inventory full menu, or drop it from the menu, which you can do that if you want to. There's not a lot of reason why you ever would do that. And it still seems like it's totally worth it to run around and grab bullets. This building still doesn't seem like there's anything you can do with it. There's no like hook shot or anything around it. I don't know if we need a key or anything to leave this section. Sure doesn't seem like the chainsaw guy is going to show up. Shotgun is still missing. You can see some of the furniture might be a little bit moved out of the way. And it would be really stupid to complain about things like respawning barrels, breaking reality, considering how the game is ridiculous with its monsters. I guess we'll have to waste some bullets to see if we want to kill the cow. There's nothing here. I'm not sure if I've looked around everywhere. Like, I can see killing that and seeing if that gives you an egg. Let's see if we have the hookshot prompt. Doesn't seem like that's the case. So we killed the cow, it didn't drop anything. So that seemed like that was pointless. What would be funny in the remake is if the cow being shot once makes it go wild and decides to just rampage everybody in the entire area, and then with some kind of random chaos that would create, that you could use that to your advantage. Well, I think I've gotten everything there is to get in this whole area. You do have this weird trade-off, certainly, because using the TMP bullets, which usually are kind of useless bullets, will drain your resources as far as bullets that actually could be useful against bosses. So I want to try and stay within the realm of only using TMP bullets after all my handgun bullets are gone. This would be another section. Yep. And we're now out of TMP bullets. Or handgun bullets. They make kind of a distinctive sound effect when they die, so that's helpful. So I'm thinking I want to... We can't shoot the blue things, obviously. I'm thinking what I want to do here is clear this area. There's no dog, by the way. Take another golden egg. Again, the chicken's not doing anything. You can see there's a bunch of bodies, which maybe those are the people that Leon killed. And so they just kind of have this infinite amount of extra ganados. I want to call them zombies, but I guess technically they're ganados. I'm not sure that there's a treasure actually in this chapter, but I bet there is. Yeah, it seems like the trick here is you'd want a hook shot up there to reach that. Yeah. Clearly it's an idea around potentially using the hook shots as a way of getting the upper ground, but I don't know if it actually becomes a very usable idea. Again, I would say these are probably the new textures, or at least the vast majority of them. Almost everything is probably new textures here. Nothing is really standing out as looking awful. There is a slight issue, even though they may have new textures. Some of these like walls here are still going to be low polygon. They don't look terrible unless you actively try and look at them, but yeah, it's not as smooth of a hill as you might want, or high enough of a hill to make the player think they can actually walk on it or climb up there. Alright. It may be that by killing the chickens you increase the number of golden egg drops you may find somewhere else, but I kind of don't think that's the case. Are we going this way? Yeah. We have to go this way, so unless I want to risk it this way, which you can do this, it would have been easier just to spend a couple TMP bullets. This is kind of a great example of where the dynamic music is making the feeling like we don't have a rifle yet, but we're getting rifle ammo. Making it feel like you could be in danger when you really couldn't. And that, I think, pushes the game to feel more like a horror game than it really is. It really is, I'd say, at least 80% an action game with horror themes. Very rarely is anything going to actually be scary looking. Of course, I've played this game so many times, maybe the monsters would be scary looking if this was the first time you'd ever seen any of the monsters or the zombies. But they're frankly too cartoony. They're just too cartoony to take seriously, the monsters, and the game is too colorful to take seriously. Let's see, and I think, wouldn't this be the direction that we were heading? Nope, not yet, but at some point, yes. Let's see what happens here. Alright. $50 pesetas is a real pathetic small amount of pesetas. So let's go ahead and just equip everything, load everything up. We've got 2 brown eggs and a golden egg. We're also looking for, I definitely don't want to sell that. We're also looking for a yellow herb. And then just trying to make as much room as reasonably possible here. We've got everything on the map so far, but there's a section here that's gonna probably take us all the way this direction eventually, and we gotta do this. So very possibly I think the game is gonna have us go this way and then race back this way and then race back and then go this way. So we're going through almost the entirety of the village in the same fashion as the first game, which definitely changes chapter 2 into being like a much longer experience than what you would have expected. We have a decent amount of gold when next time we get to the merchant, so we can get the rifle, but space will still be an issue, certainly. And yeah, so far we've managed to keep the game going around hour-long episodes, and I haven't majorly screwed that up by making a 2-hour-long episode at the end, and so I don't want to make that same mistake. I guess I can be a little bit more of a video game critic around separate ways than I can be of Resident Evil 4. I'm not blinded so much by nostalgia. I've played this probably once before. It's perhaps a little too fast-paced. It's perhaps just a little bit too repetitive and old hat. Arguably, maybe you don't change the layout of the map, but you try and change where you start and where you end a lot more instead of just going over the same locations. Or you change the enemies. the easiest thing you could have possibly done is have separate ways. Play as Ada, which would play a little bit more different, because right now she really is just playing like Leon with more powerful guns. Her fan kick is different, but not that different from Leon's kick. Leon also suplexes people. If you get really close to them, you'll get a prompt where you can suplex them. I never did that in the entire full playthrough. I almost never did it in any of my playthroughs. But yeah, a suplex can potentially like break the necks and kill a Ganado. But yeah, the easiest thing to do, which was what I was trying to say, would be just to set the game in darkness at nighttime, maybe the day before the events of Leon, for at least one chapter at the beginning, so that the village would be full of the super strong Las Plagas characters instead of just the weak Ganados that can't do the head explosion Las Plagas thing because it is daylight. And then what you could potentially do is have more enemies, but in the daytime in the castle and the island, so the Lost Plagueis thing head thing doesn't happen that much. You could have also certainly had specific areas where it was out in sunshine on the island and in the castle, so the Lost Plagueis thing couldn't happen, but inside the castle, even during daytime, it could happen because it's not in direct sunlight. That would be interesting too. You could even have a little sun icon in the screen to tell you whether you're in sunlight or not. Yeah, the remake of this game really could play a lot more with the sunlight concept, and there could be a lot of environmental physics and shadows that would get cast. Ray tracing is the big ticket new technology. You put ray tracing sunlight in Resident Evil 4 Remake, and that creates a whole new game mechanic. I think at some point you may also still would have wanted to play as Lewis instead of Ada, but like Lewis has the Red 9 gun, so he could have been the character for at least one of these chapters. You could have also played as Ada for one chapter, then Lewis is one chapter, then Krauser is one chapter. Could even have a section where you play as Mike flying the helicopter. That would have been more interesting than just all Ada and then a whole nother Ada section. There obviously was a lot of obsession around Ada as a character. Like she was the best girl, to use that phrase, by the creators, obviously. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on that much, so that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and give me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.